So yes, I know that most of you probably clicked on this video just to rub it in my face and be like, oh, I told you Mexico is better than the US. Tres Cero, baby. And you know what I have to say to that? Even though Mexico got spanked by Argentina's B squad last night, you're right. You were absolutely 1000% correct. Mexico is better than the US, which in some ways feels pretty good to say out loud. To be realistic about where the US men's national team is right now. But saying that out loud also makes me want to scream, and that's because I believe we should be much better than we are. I want to watch a game, this is my big wish, where it's clear that the players are much better than I ever was. That's how I measure progress, and they're not. Now, sure, all these players are better than me at some things, but definitely not in others. And that kind of bumps me out because I want these guys, especially the defenders, to be lockdown animals, where they are impossible to break down due to their super communication and organizational skills, while also having the ability to do the simple things perfect every time they have the ball. Is that too much to ask? And here's another thing for you, disclosure, if you will, because if Jurgen Klinsmann was coaching this team, who I still believe, and I'm talking about Jurgen here, even with the power of hindsight, was not a good coach. A good idea guy, yes, 100%. I think he had good ideas, and I appreciated him challenging the status quo, but I never really felt like he was a good executor of his own ideas. Plus, his arrogance. When he would talk down to people who weren't qualified in his mind to ask him questions, yeah, I don't have time for that shit. And that's mainly because when he first took over the national team job, he demanded that there wasn't enough pressure on our players, that the media and general public were way too easy on the team, that they needed to face more criticism and pressure when they were walking around outside. But then, when the team wasn't doing well and Mr. Jurgen Klinsmann faced criticism and pressure, he said that we, the media and the public, didn't know what we were talking about. What? What in the absolute? You can't have it both ways, big guy. It's not how it works. Anyway, why I brought up Klinsmann in the first place is that if he was coaching this current team, I would have crushed him for losing the way that we did to Mexico 3-0 last week. Absolutely crushed him. But, and this is where I get to the disclosure part, I'm friends with this current coaching staff. Greg Berhalter was my teammate at the World Cup, and his top assistant, Josh Wolf, was my roommate for both club and country. So it's really hard for me to rip into these guys if I'm acting as an emotional fan, which is what I am now, 1000%, an emotional fan. Because I like them, and I like what they're doing. On paper. They're trying to create an evolved identity for the team, one that used to be known for being hardworking, very spirited, and tough to play against, who would also most likely sit back and look to counter or score on a set piece. And speaking of a set piece and playing for the US men's national team, let's roll the clip. I'm just kidding. They're trying to now get to becoming a team that is now known for being thoughtful on the ball by maintaining possession to create numerical advantages around the field and then exploiting those numerical advantages to score goals and win games. And let's just say more tactically aware, which is part of where my current frustration lies, because being tactically aware means being able to adapt to different situations as they arise in the game. And against Mexico in particular, not so much against Uruguay, where Uruguay sat back and let us have the ball without any real pressure up high. We kept trying to have our goalkeeper start our attacks, Manchester City style, and instead of adapting to the situation, we kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, even when it led to a mistake that led to Mexico's second goal, which I applaud in some ways. To remain that resolute to the orders from the coach and what he's trying to accomplish, and I'll get more to that in a second. But if an opposing team figures out how to contain your plan A, you can't keep going to plan A. You gotta have a plan B and a plan C. And every player needs to recognize the cues in the game as to when plan B or plan C are coming so that we can anticipate as opposed to reacting. Because if we're in reacting mode, nothing flows. It's just start and stop with some, oh man, I really hope that works out. Wait, are you going long? You coming short? What I thought you were, but you can, it's just, what, we're playing defense again. But if we're anticipating based on the situation and how the team is reading the game collectively, that should lead us to, even without the ball, still being in control of the game. And now, this is going to probably lead me into the weeds a little bit if I keep going down this path of this narrative. If you want me to get into that one day, I definitely can, so just let me know. Anyway, as I've mentioned many times, I think Greg is a good coach. I think he's organized and he has a clear vision of how he wants the team to play. However, I think the things that he's trying to implement might be better served as a manager of a club and not a national team. The great coach Vicente Del Bosque, who oversaw Spain's 3 consecutive major trophies as a country, the 2008 Euros, the 2010 World Cup, and the 2012 Euros, is quoted as saying that he didn't necessarily want to play the way that his team did at times because he had his own ideas of how to play, of course. But the Barcelona players, namely Xavi and Iniesta, were so influential as the clear engines of the team, he had to put his own ideas aside and do what fits the specific group of players the best, who just happened to be some of the best who ever played in these positions, which was clearly a wise decision by Senor Del Bosque because it led to unprecedented success. But now back to Greg, and I know I mentioned this earlier, but I get what he and his staff are trying to do, and I love the ethos of it with an emphasis of playing out of the back. But is now the time to do this? And with the full national team, and after coming off a World Cup that we didn't even qualify for? I mean, we just need to get results, baby. I mean, wouldn't it have made more sense if we tried to implement this new philosophy in the year where we had an interim manager, which now feels like a lost year of development? Instead, we're trying it right now in big games against big opponents? Or maybe this is something we should mandate at the youth national team level so that when the players do come up to the full team, they'll be much more experienced and comfortable with what's being asked of them. But now, when these players' skill sets are pretty much what they're gonna be? Speaking of which, do we even have the players that can fully execute these ideas under high pressure? After watching us try to do it against the Mexican national team that knows how to pressure high up the field, I'm gonna say no. And honestly, for me, it's less about the mistakes we made close to goal, though I'm not happy about those either, especially when they led to goals that effectively ended any hopes we had of getting back into the game. And it's more about in the moments where we did break Mexico's pressure, which we did a few times, and it looked great. But we had nothing to show for it. No dangerous chances were created when we did break their press, and for me, that's the whole point of trying to play out of the back in the first place, to be able to run at their defense with a numerical advantage, and if we can't capitalize on that part of it, then what is the reward of trying to maintain possession and be cute with the ball 10 yards away from our own goal? There is none. So right now, in my humble opinion, this style of play, at least when the other team is very good at high pressing, is an unnecessary risk. If we play against a team like Uruguay or any other team that likes to sit back, or even Mexico, if they're not set up quick enough to high press, then sure, play out of the back all you want because that's what the game dictates. If the game dictates something else, then we need to be able to adapt and not continue to force something that clearly isn't working. Square peg, round hole, just keep jamming it in there. It's never gonna work. We need a plan B or a plan C, and everyone on the field needs to recognize when that's happening. They can't have their hands held by the coaches on the sideline. They have to adjust to it and figure it out in real time, which leads me to this. We need communicators out there, players that want responsibility, players that will hold their teammates accountable without worrying about hurting someone's feelings, because when you're in the middle of a game, you don't have time for feelings. And most importantly, we need players that know how to solve problems as the game is going on, because I guarantee that not everything is going to work out exactly the way that we want. So yeah, am I being too harsh? Am I not being harsh enough? I don't know. But what I do know is that we have a lot of talented people involved, and I want to see them succeed and kick ass and take names and be awesome. And sometimes I feel like we just can't get out of our own way, which is something that I have a lot of trouble with too, so I know it when I see it. Because we're trying to straddle this line of aspiring to be more while also remaining true to ourselves and being realistic about what we're currently capable of. Or at least that's what I feel like we're trying to do in some ways. Maybe? Anyway, I'm not sure if these ramblings made any sense whatsoever, but it wasn't due to a lack of trying or about caring about my team and the people that are doing everything that they can to make it as good as possible, because I care about them too, and I care about the program immensely. I just want us to do well. I'm just frustrated, and I think that's clear. Also, don't worry about hitting like or subscribe or leaving a comment. I just appreciate you listening. I'll see you tomorrow. Later.